All right, here we go. Protein shake. I've had it. Rest. I gave myself rest. Encouragement. I've had a lot of encouragement. Survival. I've survived a lot. And here I am back on June 22nd, 2025. Why is that date significant, you guys ask? I'll tell you why. 10 years ago today, I published my first episode of me reading stuff. So that means we're celebrating 10 years of this crazy-ass podcast, and I could not be more thrilled. I am so happy to be back, although I'm a little nervous and a little scared and a little lethargic. But here I am. I couldn't let this anniversary pass. I knew it was, I knew it was coming up. I think I even talked about it last summer, like, ooh, that's 9 years. That means next year is a whole decade. And in the podcast kingdom, I almost said, why did I say kingdom? That's not what we call it. In the world of podcasting, which has just grown infinitely since I first started doing this and listen. And let me go back. When I started listening to podcasts, God, it was so long ago. I was even part of many podcasts before I ever moved to Los Angeles. So that means in the late 2000, like maybe 2008 and 9, I was a part of some podcasts as a guest. And then, anyway, long story short, things have really changed. And as we all know, there's not one person who doesn't have a podcast in the world, it seems. And so podcasts have gotten a little less special, a little less unique in that way, just as all things sort of adapt and grow. I'm not saying that I think what I'm saying is I would, because of that, and I see a lot of the big podcasters taking steps back or canceling their podcasts altogether. I think even WTF with Mark Maron is now on its way out, from what I read anyway. And not that I keep up with like podcast news. These are just things I just happen upon while I'm reading the news. And I definitely hear in people's voices all the time, like an eye roll, or I see eye rolls when it comes to podcasts. And to be honest, you would think that would make me also, especially with, and I'll catch you guys up on me in a second, but with everything I've been going through, with my health, with my life, with my career, with my family, with whatever, you would think that I too would say, you know what? I'm going to step back. I don't have time for this shit. I don't have the energy for this shit. I don't want to do this anymore. But I'll be honest, it's kind of taken hold on me in the opposite way. And I want to pour into it even more and even more kind of specifically. I hesitate to use the word intentionally because that's an overused word too, but I really do mean intentionally. I also want to be really natural because that's the thing I love about me reading stuff, to be honest with you, is that it's just super casual, natural, non-professional, non-produced or self-produced. It is produced, but by me. Sorry, I just leaned into the mic a little too much. I have a sinus infection, by the way. So on top of a lot of other things, I'm struggling with my sinuses, my head, my nose. But anyway, so that's, if you hear that in my voice, there's a lot of changes to my voice. Oh, and I went through a procedure I'll tell you guys about that has made my voice kind of permanently raspy. I don't know how long this is going to last, but I'm enjoying it. I hate that I have some damage in my throat, but whatever, here I am. I love you guys. See you guys later. Just kidding. All right, let's start back up. Let's hear that music again. Let's get some. This is called Ever Felt Part 1. If you guys have never known, that is the name of the track that I use at the beginning of the podcast, Ever Felt Part 1 by Otis McDonald. And here we go. We're hearing it again. And I'm going to start back up. That was just the little mini intro into where we're at 10 years in. Thank you to all of you who've listened. Even if this is your first time, welcome aboard. And if you guys have been here since the beginning, so many of you guys have become my dearest friends. So many of you guys, I mean, some of you I haven't met in real life. Some of you I have. Some of you I've met on Zoom things that I've done, like classes I've taught on Zoom or that kind of thing. I mean, it's just wild when I think of the intricacies of the kind of web that has been woven with me and all of you guys. And I'm very grateful. And also it's so funny because there are times, even when I logged into Podomatic, in Podomatic, I'm #1 in visual arts right now. I don't know how that's possible because I also have an all-time low of the amount of downloads I get per week. And then on an odd week for no reason whatsoever, maybe it's the subject matter, I'll get like thousands and thousands of downloads. And I just don't understand. This is another reason why I'm not even going to put any effort into figuring it out. All I know is that the right people come to me, the right people who, I don't know. I'm kind of just in love with you guys. How's that? I'm in love with this whole process, and I'm in love with sharing things with you. So before I do anything, before I catch you up, I'm going to read to you guys. And it is going to be something I have read to you guys one or two other times, something I refer to often. I refer to the last lines of this poem very, very often. And some of you know why. Some of you will just experience it. But I am reading from the poet C.K. Williams from his last book of poetry, Writers, Writing, Dying. And that is also the name of this poem. And I have to put on readers. Yep, here we go. Here we go. You know what? I'm putting on my readers. I'm going to hit pause and have a couple more drinks of this protein shake. I'll be right back. You know, I used to drink this same sort of protein shake when I was in a grad school in Chicago. I remember it vividly. I don't know what got me started on it. Most likely it was my mom getting on to me about not having enough protein because I do tend to forget about protein in my life, and I'm not naturally like drawn to meat. And so, and this was before tofu was easily available. I mean, there was tofu available at the nice grocery store down the street where I lived in Chicago, but I probably didn't have enough money for tofu at the time or whatever. And so I was really into buying the vanilla Ensures and mixing them with frozen berries and bananas. And that would be my breakfast/lunch, I remember, before I would head to school. And so I haven't had it since then. And it's so cool when these kind of things happen with taste and smells, you know? Like now that I'm ingesting the same exact thing that I used to eat at that point in my life, I was only like 22 or something at the time, maybe 23. Well, who cares? I don't know if it matters, but it was the year 2000. Yeah. So fall of 2000 is when I first went to Chicago and started graduate school. And it's so strange to have this taste just bring me back there so quickly. It's almost wild. It's almost like time traveling. And I'll be honest, I don't love it. I don't love the taste. If anybody has any recommendations of how to make this better, because back then my taste buds weren't as developed. I'm sure this was delicious when I was 23 years old, but at this point I'm kind of like, ugh. Did I already tell you guys what I put in it? I did put cinnamon and a little maple syrup, but it didn't really help. So frozen berries, vanilla Ensure, and cinnamon maple syrup. I think that's it. And a banana. Anyway, all right, back to C.K. Williams, Writers, Writing, Dying. This is my reading for you today. Many I could name but won't, who'd have been furious to die while they were sleeping, but did. Outrageous. They'd have lamented and never forgiven the death they'd construed for themselves, being stolen from them so rudely, so crudely, without feeling themselves like rubber gloves, stickily stripped from the innermostness they'd contrived to hoard for so long. All of it gone, squandered, wasted. On what? Death. Crashingly boring as long as you're able to think and write it. Think, write, think. Just keep running faster and you won't even notice you're dead. The hard things when you're not thinking or writing, and as far as you know, you are dead, or might as well be, with no word for yourself. Just that suction shush, like a heart pump or straw in a milkshake. And death, which once wanted only to be sung back to sleep with its tired old fangs, has me in its mouth. And where the hell are you, that chunk of dying we used to call muse? Well, dead or not, at least there was that fancy of some scribbler, some think and write person. Maybe it was yourself, soaring in the sidereal void. And not only that, you were holding a banjo and gleefully strumming and singing, jaw swung a bit under and off to the side the way crazily happy people will do it, singing songs, or not even songs, just lolly-molly syllable sounds, and you'd escaped even from language, from having to gab, from having to write down the idiot gab. But in the meantime, isn't this what it is to be dead? With that Emily fly buzzing over your snout that you're singing almost as she did. So what matter if you died in your sleep or rushed towards dying like the Sylvia Hart part of the tribe who ceased too quickly to be and left out some stanzas? You're still aloft with your banjoless banjo, and if you're dead or asleep, who really cares? Such fun to wake up, though. Such fun, too, if you don't. Keep dying. Keep writing it down. God. That's it. I highly recommend this book. It was put out by FSG, Ferrer, Strauss, and Giroux. Is that how you say it? I have no idea how to say it. Ferrer, Strauss, and Giroux. New York. It was published in 2012. And from what I remember, that was truly the last poem he published. So in some ways, as a poet, those are the last words. Keep writing. Keep dying. Keep writing. Keep writing. Keep dying. Keep writing it down. I just ruined it. I've always loved the lines, keep dying, keep writing it down, but I love the entire poem. And it becomes, God, it was really, I don't know, really close to my heart while I read that to you just now. For reasons that I may explain in the next episode, because I'm already getting kind of tired and overwhelmed. But I have a lot to explain to you guys. Some of you may have already known that, in short, I basically quote, to be kind of old-timey about it, I quote, fell ill. And my heart, which I've talked about for so long in this podcast, I've always had a heart problem, I was born with it. And it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And long story short, it was time for major surgery. And I had the major surgery a month ago yesterday, or 2 days ago, on May 20th. And it went okay. But then once I finally got out of the hospital and got home, I had 2 really good days thinking I was recovering well. And then I collapsed and was in an ambulance, a couple of ambulances. And it was the wildest 24 hours of my life, really the wildest week of my life. So things did not end up going well. And you can read more about it on Damien's Instagram. Just do a search for Damien Jurado, Damien Jurado, or Maricopa Records. And you will see on his Instagram, I think it's on mine too. It's shared onto my Instagram, which is Robyn, ROBYN _O'Neil, ONEIL. Write that down, you guys. Get on there, check it out. Damien explained it the best he could while it was happening because there were so many people, cheering us along. And yeah, I survived. I cheated death. I was a half hour from dying in the end that night at midnight. And an incredible surgeon was on call who knew exactly how to do this particular procedure. And I mean, I'll say this too as a little precursor. I was so close to death that I couldn't get any anesthesia or sedatives. So I was fully awake while this guy was basically stabbing me in my heart to get all of this blood that was accumulating around my heart in what is called the pericardial sac. And yes, I experienced that and lived through it and am hopefully, God willing, thriving now. There's still a lot going on. I go back to the hospital every week and get tested, or I get tested and then I go to the hospital and talk to doctors, and it's a lot. I am still, working through it. But all this to say, I think you get it why this poem is even more, I don't know, close. It's closer to me now than ever. And, nobody quite understands how I lived through all of this, but I did. And I'm very proud of that fact. I don't know about proud. Yeah, I am proud because I fought really hard and there was a lot of chances for me to give up. And it would have been really the most obvious and most reasonable thing to do several times throughout that day, to just give up. And the first doctor that I saw at the first hospital that the ambulance took me to basically spoke to Damien and myself like I was a dying pet and was like, you guys can try to make her live, keep her around, but it's very unlikely she will. And so, do you want to take her home to die? Do you want to die here? It was that real of a conversation. And you can only imagine what that feels like for a couple, for a husband and wife, who are madly in love with each other, to look each other in the eyes. And I am gray. Damien explains it that I was gray yellow, like when a hard-boiled egg yolk on the outside gets that weird gray yellow. And I was barely there, barely functioning and barely breathing, even with oxygen. And God, I'll tell you guys more in detail, but I think that's a pretty good overview. And that's all I really have the energy for right now, because I'm into the celebration part of it all. That I'm here, that I'm talking to you, that my windows are open, that Frankie's right here. Frankie and her big fuzzy body is sitting right next to me, supervising this recording. I am hearing children yelling in the background, which I love. I am hearing, do you guys hear my birds? And I'm sure you've heard my birds, the pigeons. I'm still feeding so many birds. Maybe I'll share with you guys a bird that jumped into my hand and walked around the yard with me the other day. Yesterday. It's a pine siskin, a little kind of finch type bird. And it was just, for some reason, just so relaxed. And as I was refilling my bird feeders yesterday, for the first time, I was able to pick up some bird seed and refill my feeders, because my whole right side of my body is really weak right now. But I was able to do it yesterday, and it was so cool. And as I was doing it, this bird just jumped on the feeder while I was like 1 foot away from it. And so I was like, hey, friend. And we hung out. And then I started to pet it. And then it just jumped in my hand and wanted to hang out in my hand. And so I carried it around like it was my pet. That was really nice. I can't remember why I'm telling you guys that, but maybe I'll throw that up on my Instagram once I announce this podcast. And now you hear like what are those planes called? Biplane? A little plane, little mini plane. Lots of little mini planes flying overhead these days, or over my house. But I'm in good spirits for the most part. I don't know. I don't know where to begin with you guys, but God, I love being back. Let's do this at the 20-minute mark. Let's say goodbye. How are you guys doing? How the hell are you guys? What's new in your life? What have you been up to? It's been since January since I talked to you guys on the podcast, and I'm sure you guys are all doing all sorts of enormous, beautiful things while you're fighting with life and trouble and, who knows, pain and illness yourself. But I hope you're eating well. That's always something I care about. What are you eating? Just tell me that. That's really all I need to know right now, is I want to know what kind of good food you're eating. You guys, I'll be back. I'll probably be back next week. I'll give it a week. I don't want to overburden myself. I don't want to overdo it, and I don't want to overpromise. But the thing is, I think I need this really badly now, and I plan on being back, and we'll see how it goes. But I'm really happy to be talking to you guys. It feels like a real conversation, even though it really is me just talking into the void. But I have you guys all in my heart, in my mind, and thank you to everybody who has either sent me a card or sent me a present or reached out or brought me a meal or bought me a meal through DoorDash or whatever. I mean, it has been unreal, the amount of love and support Damien and I have received. And a lot of you know who you are, and I cannot thank you enough. I've truly never felt more loved in all of my life. And it's been from both virtual strangers and also those dearest to me, and all of you in between too. So, I mean, even if it was a Instagram message, which I'm still working through getting through them, because there were a lot of them, and I just want you to know I'm gonna get through all of them. And today, or this week, I'm starting a lot of thank you cards, so I'm excited about that, to send anybody who sent me something. If I have your address, you're getting a thank you card and some sort of postcard. So probably won't have drawings on it because I can't do very much with my right arm yet, but I can definitely write a little bit. So that was me snapping my pen into gear. Here we go. Let's write. I love you guys. Keep writing. Keep dying. Keep writing it down. Oh, take care of yourselves, and I'll talk to you very soon. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you. Goodbye. Good night.